Nature and challenges of globalization. Political science perspective. Every second, somewhere in the world, a package is shipped, a call is made, or a deal is signed, connecting people across borders. This invisible web binding our lives together is called globalization. But here's the question. Is globalization a force of unity and progress? Or is it a storm of inequality, cultural loss, and political challenges? In this video, we'll explore the nature and challenges of globalization through the lens of political science. By the end, you'll see globalization not as a buzzword, but as one of the most powerful forces shaping the world you live in. Defining globalization. Let's start simple. The term globalization comes from global, the world, and ization, the process of becoming. So globalization is the process of increasing interconnectedness and interdependence among nations, societies, and people. It touches every sphere: economic, trade, investment, global markets, political, international institutions, treaties, diplomacy, cultural, music, movies, languages spreading worldwide, technological, internet, smartphones, instant communication, environmental, shared problems like climate change and pandemics. In short, globalization shrinks distances, speeds up exchanges, and blurs boundaries. But to understand its nature, we need to break it down. Nature of globalization. The nature of globalization can be explained through 5 key features. Interconnectedness. Nations are no longer isolated. What happens in one country, like a financial crash, spreads across continents. Integration. Economies, cultures, and politics are woven together. Think of the European Union or Netflix, streaming in over 190 countries. Compression of time and space. The internet and transport have collapsed distances. A message crosses the world in seconds. Asymmetry. Globalization is uneven. Some countries dominate, others depend. Multidimensional. It's not just economic, it's political, cultural, environmental, and technological all at once. So globalization isn't just about free trade. It's about the deep transformation of how societies function. Challenges of globalization. But here's the catch. Globalization is a double-edged sword. While it brings innovation, access, and growth, it also creates serious challenges. Let's explore them. Economic inequality. Rich nations and corporations often benefit more than poor countries. Wealth gaps widen between the global north and global south. For example, cheap labor in developing countries feeds luxury markets abroad, but workers remain underpaid. Cultural homogenization. Globalization spreads dominant cultures, often at the cost of local traditions. Hollywood, K-pop, and McDonald's are everywhere. But indigenous languages and customs fade. Political sovereignty. Global institutions like the WTO or IMF influence domestic policies. Critics argue that globalization limits a nation's independence. Environmental degradation. Industrial growth, mass transportation, and consumerism accelerate climate change. Deforestation in the Amazon or plastic pollution in oceans are global side effects. Security concerns. Globalization enables terrorism, cybercrime, and pandemics to spread faster. Remember COVID-19? A local outbreak turned into a global crisis in months. So while globalization connects us, it also magnifies our vulnerabilities. Political science perspective. From a political science perspective, globalization raises difficult questions. Who governs the global? Nation-states still matter, but international organizations, the UN, WTO, World Bank, now share power. Democracy and accountability. Decisions affecting millions are often made by unelected global institutions. Who holds them accountable? Power shifts. Globalization shifts power toward multinational corporations, tech giants, and transnational networks. Today, companies like Apple or Google influence politics almost as much as states. Nationalism versus globalism. While globalization pushes integration, many societies push back with nationalism, demanding local control. Think of Brexit, trade wars, or anti-immigration movements. So globalization is not just economic growth. It is a political battlefield, reshaping sovereignty, identity, and governance. Balancing globalization. The big question becomes, how do we balance the benefits of globalization with its challenges? Possible answers include fairer trade policies to reduce inequality between nations, cultural preservation programs, protecting indigenous languages, arts, and traditions, environmental treaties, like the Paris Agreement to fight climate change collectively, stronger global governance, making institutions transparent and accountable, inclusive technology, ensuring digital globalization doesn't widen the gap between rich and poor.
In other words, globalization is not something we can stop, but we can shape it into a force for fairness, sustainability, and unity. Let's recap. Globalization means growing interconnectedness across economic, political, cultural, and technological dimension. It is nature, interconnected, integrated, multidimensional, yet uneven. It challenges inequality, cultural homogenization, weak-kneed sovereignty, environmental damage, and security threats. From a political science perspective, globalization is a struggle over power, identity, and governance. And the future depends on how humanity balance its benefits with its risks. Globalization is neither hero nor villain. It is a tool, and how we use it for division or unity is ultimately our choice. If you find this guide helpful, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow students. And in comments, tell us, do you think globalization does more harm than good? Because your answer is part of the global conversation.